guest today is an incredible guitarist, lead guitarist for Alter Bridge, former guitar player for Creed, and now is a solo artist under the name Tremonti. Of course, I'm talking about Mark Tremonti. Hey, Mark, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for taking a few minutes. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you.
So are you still hanging out in Orlando, or where about in the rest of the world are you these days?
Yeah, I'm in Orlando right now until September when we go back on tour.
Cool. Right. So you guys just finished a few dates. Was it you did some here in the States and then a couple in Europe?
Yeah, we did I think about a month here in the States and 3 weeks over in Europe. And then when we go back out, I think we're going to do a more extended tour of the States and tour through the end of the year.
I saw a couple of festivals you have lined up. How do you like doing the festival thing now versus, the club dates or arena dates? It seems like festivals are becoming more the norm these days, especially for rock bands. So do you like playing that kind of big venue?
Yeah, festivals are fun. It's you have a huge majority of those people out there that don't know your band, so you're out there trying to win them over, and you never know what you're going to get. So it's always an exciting thing. And it's good to be able to see all your friends out there, because it's a small world. Once you're on these festival circuits, you get to see a lot of the same faces and see a lot of bands that you're fans of.
Right, yeah, all the 40, 50 bands now, 100 bands. Some of these things are insane. But anyway, I want to touch on the new album, Cauterize, came out June 9th. Kick-ass, almost like a heavy metal album, really. You've really upped the ante on this one in terms of sort of the metal side of what you do. Was that intentional? You've always been sort of on the heavier side, but you keep trying to kind of push that, I think, with the latest music. So is that part of just musically where you've easily transitioned to, or was intentional?
Well, doing when I started the solo project, I wanted to get out a lot of ideas that didn't necessarily fly with Alter Bridge at the time, and a lot of those ideas I've had around for years and years. I grew up listening to speed metal and just devouring speed metal and playing it on guitar, and both bands that I'd been in previously, just when I throw out horse gallop riffs and speed metal stuff, they just kind of looked at me funny, and I went on to the next idea. So
right.
when it came to doing a solo band, that was definitely a side of me I wanted to get out there, because it was such a huge part of my development as a songwriter and a guitar player.
I'll have to say that for me, I knew Creed mostly from like the radio singles, and when I heard Alter Bridge was really for me my first exposure into what an incredible guitar player you are, and in terms of all the soloing and things like that. Was there ever a side of you with Creed that felt like at the time you had to hold back versus what you're able to do now as sort of as a guitar player?
Not necessarily. I think, to be fair, I think I developed as a guitar player. I couldn't do a lot of the stuff that I did, on some of the Alter Bridge stuff. I just couldn't pull off in the earlier Creed days. I think I was just so happy to have this as a career. I really just put everything I had into developing my guitar playing and songwriting, and just worked hard at it. So it was just kind of a developing thing. Yeah.
The first single off the new album was a song called Another Heart, which is a great sort of almost radio friendly for this album, if you could say that. So do you pick the singles, and did you decide on that one, and is there another single on the way?
Yeah, when we finished the record, we had a party where we let people hear both albums, and they flew in from all over the world, and we gave them all a checklist with all the songs, where they'd give us their ratings of the songs, and we told them we needed to pick singles, and this would help a lot if we knew all of their feedback. And the top 4 songs were some of our top 4 songs, and Another Heart was one of them. I think Another Heart was tied in first place with Radical Change.
Right.
And then we took this song. We knew that we were going to rely heavily on satellite radio, Octane, and so we took it to them and said, which songs do you prefer? And they preferred Another Heart, so we ran with it.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't even realize that sort of focus grouping is done anymore these days, which is nice.
Yeah, I don't know how often that's done, but it's just something that we thought would be a fun event for the fans and for ourselves to, when we've heard these songs for so long, it's great to see people's reaction to it for the
Yeah,
first listen.
absolutely. So you referred to the both albums, which I have read that there's a second album already recorded. What can you tell me about that and what it's like and when it's coming out?
It's similar to this album. We recorded 20 songs, not knowing how we were going to release them, and then when it came down to the end, where we were almost getting into the mixing phase, I kind of looked at the 20 songs and I thought it would be good to just split them right down the middle and put them on two records. Because I'd look back on my earlier life, and the albums that I grew up on had 8 songs on them, or 7 songs on them, or at the most ever 10 songs on them.
Right. Yeah.
And when I see bands put out songs with 15, 16 songs on them, I get lost in them. Even if they're my favorite bands, I just don't have. I don't know if it's because I'm older now, but I just don't have the attention span. I'll pick my favorites and listen to those and kind of forget about the other 8 songs. So I didn't want that to happen. I wanted a very digestible, short. It's still a 45-minute or 40-minute record.
Sure.
And then I want people to really digest this record and know it front and back before this next record comes out, so people are ready for it.
What, in terms of then writing and recording that much material, how long did it take you, and do you spend a lot of time when you're on the road writing and then bring the demos later, or how do you do that whole thing?
Well, I'm continuously writing nonstop. It's anytime I have a moment to get my guitar and in the lone time, I'll be writing. So the idea is just kind of stockpile, and then when it comes time to put an album together, that's when I get with the guys, and I'll try and be as organized as possible. So I'll throw out my favorite ideas and see the reaction. Whether if it's in this band, if it's in Tremonti, the guys are always gung ho about the heaviest stuff, which is good because I like the heavy stuff as well. And then we'll go from there. I'll see what everybody digs, and then I'll go through my catalog of stuff and try and pair parts and put stuff together almost like a puzzle. So it took about 40 days of that process, putting these ideas that were already written together to come up with about 25 outlines of songs. And then we go into pre-production, played Elvis all these songs, and then we cut 5 songs out and went with the top 20, and then did all the final arrangements for them and recorded them.
So you have your own label that this is all done through, right? The Fret 12. Does that sort of make it easier for you now that you don't have necessarily maybe the old label machine to be over you, and that with this new model and how things are these days, has that made life easier for you in terms of a recording artist?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has its ups and downs. The ups are, if you want to do something, you don't have to ask 10 different people for permission. You can just do whatever you want at any given moment, and whatever promotions you want to do, you can do. But when you're on a record label, you definitely have more foot soldiers all over the world that are pushing your stuff. But at the same time, those people have so many bands to deal with, you might get forgotten about. So it's good to be the sole priority of this Fret 12 Records at the time. And they're doing a great job, and they're just as smart as any of these record labels out there. There's just fewer of them, so it's we have to outsource and find the proper people to hire to make it all happen.
Yeah, I mean, you've had the fortunate position of really being successful through almost 3 phases of this whole musical thing, right? I mean, with Creed, that was sort of the peak of the industry, and then Alter Bridge kind of snuck in there maybe towards the tail end, and now you're still having great success with the solo records in this climate. How have you seen the change through all those years, and are you grateful that you didn't have to start out today, let's say?
Yeah, I mean, I realize how lucky we had it back in the day. It seems like if we took what we're doing now and got to rewind 15 years, it'd just be a cakewalk. It's if you had an album with a couple songs in the top 10 or top 5, you had a gold record back in the day. And,
yeah.
Nowadays, getting a gold record is you've got to be Nicki Minaj or something. It's just not happening to rock bands. I know Breaking Benjamin just had a huge week, which is exciting. But if you do 100,000 records, it's a huge feat. A different world. I've seen things change dramatically.
But online, and if there's a lot more avenues to discover music, and there's so many great rock bands, and in a way, it sort of has left it to where rock music is now able to be promoted by the fans, and sort of kind of old school how it used to be. You know what I mean? And not relying on just having the hit single. I mean, do you see? Is that sort of a better thing, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's the one good thing about the internet and social media and whatnot, that sure, you lose all your album sales, but back in the Creed days when we were selling millions of records, people in Russia and China and anywhere around the world probably had no idea about the band. It was
yeah, right.
Now that has really kicked in, and we've got fans from everywhere around the globe that you would back in the day would be blown away that people even knew of your band in these countries. So now the touring opportunities are all over the world. It's now it's just a matter of finding the promoters to put together packages for you to go to Indonesia, or you to go to the Philippines, or you to go to Australia. There's just such a bigger audience now, but it seems like it's so oversaturated at the same time. It seems like there's so many bands doing it these days. There's so many metal bands. There's so many rock bands. There's just so many rock bands out there. It's mind-boggling. So it's hard to make a blip on the radar on the internet nowadays, because there's just so much stuff out there. Every local band can have their Facebook, sites and their songs up on YouTube, and it's hard to kind of wade through it all to find the cream of the crop.
Yeah, no doubt. The whole Apple Music streaming and everything, what's your take on that, the whole thing?
Yeah, I think it's not something that I think artists are going to ever love. It's not something where artists are getting paid. Like if somebody's going to Apple and buying their album on iTunes, they're going to get compensated for it. If they're doing Apple streaming stuff, they're going to get paid a portion of a penny for a stream. So it's something that hurts the artist. People can argue that as exposure, but there's already exposure enough. There's already people can find any band anywhere on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, or there's so much exposure right now. I don't think it's necessary to have that. But those sites kind of just scare me, because it's like, what are we? People aren't thinking about the artists anymore. I think if this was Hollywood and this was if this was happening to the movie business, somebody do something about it. And people were just watching movies for pretty much free.
Yeah.
The government would come and step in and do something about it. But nobody's doing anything for the artists right now. We're just kind of sitting there and pretty much not getting paid for making records. We're relying on merchandise sales and concert tickets. And
yeah, it's a weird time.
Really weird time.
Been. Really different. Yeah. What's the latest with Alter Bridge? Where are you guys, and sort of on hiatus while you're doing the Tremonti, but you have a new record coming out soon?
Yeah, we'll get together next year and put out some new music. I'm not sure exactly when as of yet, but the plan is to have a record out in 2016.
Oh, that's very cool. So the Cauterize is available on iTunes and on your Fret 12 website and everywhere else, and tour dates aren't out yet, right, for the rest of the year? When can we expect those?
We'll be out in September and October. They're just putting the deal together now. We're excited about it. I don't think I can say we're going to be touring with the band that we're excited to tour with. So it's going to be that's the plan, is to do a co-headline tour, but it's still being sussed out. So
top secret.
It's going to happen in September, October.
Very cool. And I wanted to ask you. So, what sort of new music are you listening to, if any? Any new guitar players or stuff that you're into?
Guitar-wise, right now, I'm getting into kind of the finger style, Nashville style, almost country rock. Trying to get my other fingers involved on my right hand, because it really opens up a whole lot of new doors. So I'm anything from like Brent Mason or just get on YouTube and look up chicken picking riffs, or and then I'll and then I'll try and turn it into a more of a, because a lot of the country sound is a very happy major key sound and stuff, and I try and take the stuff and turn it a little more rock and darken it up a little bit. And that's kind of what I'm experimenting with right now.
Cool. Well, listen, man, I'm a huge fan of Alter Bridge and what you're doing now and all that stuff, and it's really cool to be able to speak with you. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
For more information and upcoming interviews, please check theprogreport.com. Follow us on Facebook, @theprogreport on Twitter, and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. Thanks.